So everybody's back. Hope you learned a lot of great things today. Um, Anything jump out at you in particular? Something particularly exciting that you learned or shared today?
Again, I'm the guy that doesn't like silence. So when I was in the self-care during the pandemic talk that Mackenzie and Varsha shared, um, their second point in 10 was really get a really productive kind of morning routine going. And I don't know. I always thought like a morning routine was like an old person's question. Like that's that question of like all my friends like, so what do you do in the morning? I mean, do you exercise in the morning? Do you read in the morning? Do you sleep to the last possible second? Do I mean, tell me about all the things. And because I'm trying to pull together like these strings of habits that prepare me for like being fully present with other people and for me to like take care of myself. And so I wasn't surprised, but I was so glad to hear that students are thinking about their, how they invest their time and how they invest their time in themselves so that they could be ready to be with other people. I think that mindfulness is super exciting to see. So again, just more and more evidence of that. I mean, I've seen that throughout the week in Mind the Gap, but again, to have it so explicitly stated today was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I did not get to attend that session, so I plan to check it out on the recordings next week. But one thing that I learned a long time ago is that I'm not a morning person. I get up in time to get out. And so part of my morning routine is to get all of the morning things done the night before. So clothes are laid out, lunch is made, coffee is set and programmed to brew. Like all of those things have to be done the night before so that I don't make myself even later the next morning. And if I ever miss something, it's reflected in chaos the next morning. So yeah, it's that being mindful and making sure it all gets done in advance is super helpful to get the day started.
And talking about that workplace culture, I'm very much a morning person. And I have learned which colleagues do not want to have a bunch of questions as soon as they walk in the mornings. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we have a pretty good 50-50 split here in the Center for Career and Leadership Development. So you can flip a coin and you may or may not get a response if you ask a question before 10 o'clock. So what else did we learn today?
I think something that stood out to me was in the considering grad school session, which I think this could apply just for like everything, but each person's story is so unique. Like we can't necessarily compare ourselves to other people. And it's nice to get like people's advice and like learn from their experience. But when it comes down to it, like we have to do what's best for us and figure out what we want. So I thought that was really cool, that we all have our own stories.
Well, I enjoyed all the various segments that had an opportunity to be in on the self-help, the grad school, all of that. And I am constantly not worried, but probably I'll say I have this little bit of a concern in the back of my head because of age. So it's like I want to be able to get on with it and be involved with it and everything. But the big takeaway was just the encouragement too with the self-care portion as well with that. So going into this next segment to rise and shine and ta-da, with that was encouraging. I don't know if we're still on.
We are still here. Yep.
Okay.
I'm just enjoying sitting in the silence, letting people reflect. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to mention briefly, Cindy. I mean, I think that, your comments following Abigail's. I mean, I think we're all on our own path, and I think that those of us that have had the courage to blaze a path that is true to us, and it might not meet other people's expectations. It might even disappoint their expectations of us and for us. That's so empowering, and that's really kind of pulling the sheet back. That's kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to do Mind the Gap, is that we recognize that this career and professional development work is work. It doesn't come easy to everybody. In fact, it comes easy to very, very few. And so it's important to try to create a lot of choice. So over 4 days, you'll have 32, 33 different opportunities to listen in on topics that you find interesting. But I think it's important that we give ourselves grace to learn and to make mistakes. And again, I've wasted time, and I've made mistakes, and I've missed opportunities. And it's easy for me to get stuck there. Like my first school, I went to Auburn University, and I really enjoyed the athletic program. I didn't go to a lot of classes, and so my GPA reflected that. And for a long time, that kind of haunted me. And I was just plagued with regret about a missed opportunity. But then I just woke up a while later, and I had a lot of encouragement from people in my life. But I woke up later, and I said, I'm not going to give this power anymore. And I started writing the next chapter in my life. And I think that it's hard to drive straight and drive fast when you're looking in the rearview mirror. Like, don't try that. Just think about that. But it's really important for us to move forward with a group of peers and a group of a tribe, if you will, that is there for you. And we're honored to have been there for you this week, and hope to go forward with you.
So, yeah, I think that we've had a lot of really good sessions today, and there's a lot that you kind of have to chew on and process. And is there anything that you felt particularly like challenged by? Was there something that like you felt like you called out or seen, or something like really kind of like convicted you to like, man, I've got to work on this thing for sure? And like we've touched on that a little bit in the conversation we've had already, but what's that takeaway that you really feel like, man, I have to work on this thing?
I gotta get my LinkedIn profile set up.
Yeah, Megan was in our session with Lindsay Sneckenberger from TVA, who was talking about the importance and power of a LinkedIn profile, and how to build it, and what to include, and how to connect with people and use it as a strong networking tool. And then she made everybody like raise their hand and show who has a current updated LinkedIn profile, and there was not a lot of us. So it kind of really provided some of that conviction for several people, I think. So Megan was not alone in that. Cindy, you were going to say something?
Resume power. Yeah. That's a big HELP. But hey, I'm confident that that will get done and make you want to slap your mama by the time you read it. Well, not necessarily that, but uh, but yeah, that just having all these things, I didn't know about all these different tools tools of success, I guess I would call them. So I'm very thankful for all of these segments. And so now we have something to take and run with to help us to jump every hurdle that we come across.
That's right.
I'd say that something I need to work on is just working on interview skills. Donna gave a bunch of good tips about if you do have a tricky interview question, maybe don't just spit something out. Just take a second to say, do you mind letting me think about that? Or could you repeat the question? Things like that, just so that I can calm myself down and give a good response.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, just as we've heard, like sitting in this room, like just a few moments of silence feels like an eternity sometimes. And so there's that need to, like, this kind of internal need of like, I've got to start talking right away. As soon as the question is asked, I need to be prepared for an answer. And it sometimes creates this meander of like 30 seconds of what before you actually get to your actual response. And yeah, there wasn't any silence, but there also wasn't really any content either. And so you're just as good or better off to use that to say, that's a really great question. Let me choose my best answer for you. And then sit in that awkward silence for 3 to 5 seconds and pick your answer and then start talking. It's going to be a much better impression.
These tools also for myself, they're giving measurements on how to take and make these applicable when there are disabilities involved. So it's seeking how I can take what quote might be normal for someone, but how someone's normal is not necessarily my normal, and make that work in a positive way for me. So it's still taking all that I've heard today and saying, hey, how can I make this apply and work for me with some issues that I may have.
That's great.
Yeah, I think that circles back to kind of the conversation we had in the grad school one, where it is like your story. So even though you're seeing all of these other experiences, or kind of like maybe this person, you know, did it this way, or you think this is the typical way, at the end of the day, it is like, how are you going to do it? What is best for you? And I think Abigail mentioned that too. Like, it is about what's going to benefit you in the end. And so kind of taking these tools and using them how you need, and making your own story and your own path, rather than concentrating on maybe what other people are doing. I think that's really important. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Other thoughts? Okay, so very important question. And it's going to be kind of a pop quiz to see if you've researched ahead. But is there any session tomorrow that you're very excited about and plan on attending?
The budgeting one might be interesting, since I've already started looking at how my finances are, but I know I heavily have been relying on Crodes to supply some of my meals, and I've had a lot of fast food, but I have gotten better with cooking, so I just want to learn a little bit better on how everything goes together.
That's a great one. And what's fun is like, Rob mentioned one day this week how there's this grand misconception that adults have it together, and that, really the truth is we're all just making it up a few minutes before you see it. And that, I think budget goes along with that. Like, you can be as experienced as you can with your own personal budget, and learning how to manage your money. There's always something else you can learn to make it better. And so I think that's going to be a really good session tomorrow as well.
I'm really excited, and I know a lot of the people in my cohort are excited about the negotiating salaries one, because that is an awkward conversation to have, and all of us are students. So like, if you offered me $5 right now, I would probably be like, that's great, yeah, okay. And so I know that we've been talking about how we just don't know kind of like how to have that conversation, and once we graduate, that's going to be a tool that we need. And so that's a conversation we're excited about for tomorrow, me especially.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, understanding how to negotiate will then help you better with your budget. So those go well together.
I think one of the conversations, I'm sorry, Amanda, please.
No, you're fine. I was going to say that I'm also excited about the negotiating the salary and benefits, and then also the networking during the pandemic, because right now, the only jobs I've had have just been like kind of like full to part time, but nothing that's like leading me into my career. So whenever I do find a job that's right for me, I want to be able to have those connections and be able to pick the right one, and also be able to advocate for myself and to get the pay that I deserve. It's also fair for the company as well.
Right.
So I was pretty sure that I was just really excited for the networking during the pandemic, but now that I've heard that Amanda's excited about it too, I know that it's going to be a great session. So we're trying to come up with like this great home run finish on Mind the Gap, and that's the session we've kind of slotted in there, because I think it's so important and timely that we're on our front porch or in our dining room or in our bedroom or just some other place. And like all the conventional wisdom and thinking is just kind of like there's an asterisk next to it, because like, yeah, in non-COVID times. And so I'm really excited to hear from folks that are like our presenters are again some more of our students, and they're going to be talking about what they're doing today to connect with opportunities, connect with other people, etc. So I'm really excited about that talk, but frankly, all the sessions have exceeded my expectations, and so I'm just really delighted that you guys have seen value in them as well.
So I am particularly excited about the session on defining professional development. Only in part because I'm one of the co-presenters for it, but also in part because my lead on that session is Dr. Piazza from Research and Creative Endeavor here on campus, and she is phenomenal. She has such a wealth of knowledge that even as a co-presenter, I'm looking forward to what I'll learn from being able to engage with Dr. Piazza during that session. And professional development is one of those things that, and I need to go back and kind of look at my notes. I know that at one point during one of the sessions, we talked about how it's a falsehood to think that you're out of school, so you're done with testing and sessions, and that, I don't have to school anymore. False. You're always in school. You're always learning. Like, life is always learning, right? If you're not learning, something's not right. And professional development is very much a piece of that. Like, to be able to really do your best job on the job, that there's always pieces of professional development. Lindsay, for example, Lindsay Johnson, our admin, has been multitasking today and doing a professional development training while she's been helping with our professional development conference. Like, there is always learning to be done. And so defining what professional development is and identifying ways to better yourself as a professional is always smart. And so I look forward to being in that session. Now, we have some great competition at that time slot. You know, you may have to come back and watch the recording, and that's fine. But definitely make sure to make some time for that session.
And while a lot of you are in the negotiating salaries and benefits, I'm going to be in the first day on the job, because after you get through with that negotiating, you have to show up. So I'm going to see what kind of tips I can pick up that will help with moving you beyond the resume, beyond the interview, beyond the negotiation. And guess what? It's your first day of school. I mean, work. So that's what I'm going to be doing.
And again, I've got to advocate for all of our sessions. So Mo Ali, if you don't know Mo, he's a two-time UTC alum, and he actually is a member of our Alumni Gold Council. So this is a group of folks that have graduated within the last several years that want to stay deeply engaged with UTC. But Mo works for a company called ACA Compliance. And I've asked him to come up with a talk about deciding between multiple offers. So isn't that like the goal, right? So it's not to get one good job. It's about getting several good jobs and choosing the absolute best job and making that one good job a great choice, right? So a lot of that goes into weighing factors that vary depending on who's weighing them or who's evaluating them. So Mo's going to share from experience the types of things that he's looking at when he's deciding between multiple offers. So again, there's a lot to be offered tomorrow. While there's fewer sessions, and it's worked out that way, they are really solid, and we're excited about again offering Mind the Gap tomorrow between 9:30 and 12:30.
Thanks, Rob. As we are wrapping up today, I just want to thank you all for being a part of the sessions and participating and really contributing to some great conversation. Most of you are faces that we have seen all week, and we definitely appreciate that. Because that's a real time commitment and investment outside of class and work time. And so we really appreciate it. And so we hope to see you again tomorrow for some really great sessions as we wrap up this pilot program that we've been offering. Then we will continue the conversation on after that, because even when this is over, our department is still here, still offering these things for you, and we hope to continue to assist you. So any last thoughts before we call it a day?
Just a super quick question.
Yeah.
You had mentioned be reviewing the videos next week.
Yeah.
Will those videos for all the sessions be available next week?
That's the goal.
Okay.
We've been recording each of these sessions, some a little easier than others, and we're collecting those and cleaning them, and the goal is to have them all posted onto the Mind the Gap page next week.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'll leave you to go enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks so much for contributing to some really great conversation, and we look forward to continuing it tomorrow.